Hey everyone, it's Steve and Natalie from Dark Art Astronomy, and we just got back from a 4-day trip to New Mexico.
Y'all, I am so excited. I took my PlaneWave to a dark sky observatory.
Your PlaneWave?
Yeah. Let's get started. Yeah, let's get started right now.
No, do not start yet. Today I'm sharing my journey of moving my PlaneWave CDK 12.5-inch telescope from Strawn, Texas to the DSP Remote Observatory in Animas, New Mexico. The decision to go with DSP involved a long process where I compared several different remote observatories. I prioritized dark skies with minimal light pollution, 24/7, 365 customer service, affordable costs, and a reasonable distance from my home in Strawn, Texas.
For light pollution analysis, we compared information collected from a site called astrophotographers.com, which uses satellite imagery to analyze the amount of light pollution for each of the observatories that we were considering. For example, my house in North Fort Worth has light pollution that is measured at Bortle 8 on a scale of 1 to 9, which means there's a lot of light pollution.
My home in Strawn, Texas, however, which is where we do nearly all of our imaging, is much lower at Bortle 4, but still not ideal. I took a look at Starfront in Texas, which appears to be approximately Bortle 2, but I wanted to stay away from a crowded telescope farm with hundreds of units.
DSP Remote Observatory in Animas, New Mexico is a Bortle 1 site, at least based on the information from Astrophotographers. DSP Remote stood out on paper, and we enjoyed talking to Ed Thomas, one of the owners, who seemed very knowledgeable.
I also sought out advice from people I knew and trusted, like my friends from the Fort Worth Astronomy Club, a friend who sells telescope equipment for one of the large telescope manufacturers, and even discussed it with my friend and fellow YouTuber Antoine Graylin of Galactic Hunter. In the end, I went with a recommendation of my friend who sells telescope equipment because he's worked with Ed Thomas of DSP and had a lot of positive things to say about him and the customer service.
Hey Steve, hey Natalie. This is Tom Bramwell with Prima Lucha Lab, North America, out here in Oceanside, California. Wanted to let you know that my recommendation for remote hosting is with DSP and Ed Thomas. I've worked with Ed for many years, and he has the most skilled hands in the industry, and I would trust him to host my remote telescope.
And he was right. DSP Remote customer service exceeded expectations.
Packing and organization was no simple task. We couldn't just have Mr. Scott beam us up from Strawn to Animas with the telescope and its components. So, before disassembling my PlaneWave telescope, we created a block diagram showing how the Prima Luce Eagle 5 computer connected to the imaging camera, off-axis guider, filter wheel, rotator, and light panel.
We were very careful to pack the PlaneWave electronics. What do you think is going to be in there, Spica, huh? Can you see? Because as you may recall from my review of the telescope, PlaneWave sent us non-functioning electronics that all had to be replaced. After carefully packaging all the parts and cables, I created the telescope using a winch to hoist it into my Jeep and secured the Skywatcher EQ HRH mount in the truck, and off we went.
Then we began the 12-hour drive to Animas. We broke the trip up into 2 days to try to avoid traffic. Upon arrival, Chris Fellows, a DSP owner, and his team greeted us, gave us a tour of the observatory, and showed us the on-site clubhouse, which is a beautiful 2-bedroom apartment with a complete kitchen, family room, and full bathroom. We were very comfortable.
Next came the unpacking process, and this is where Chris Fellows and his team worked with me to set up the rig and got all of the remote access functioning on my computer. Their attention to detail was really impressive. They tested every connection to make sure things were working correctly, but the weather turned sour, complete with flood warnings across parts of New Mexico and Texas, so we were lucky to have a few patches of clear skies and had just enough time to get the telescope polar aligned and work on focus. But imaging was out of the question because clouds were forecast for several days, and with clouds and possible flooding on the horizon, we decided to start our drive home to Texas to avoid the bad weather.
Overall, though, the trip was great. The DSP team was amazing. This observatory's dark skies and exceptional customer service promised to be a great home for my telescope. But did the move improve our images? Tune in next time for our first remote imaging night, where Steve's cable management resulted in a cable snag on the first night of imaging.
Oh, wait, that was not my fault.
And we have additional issues with PlaneWave electronics, but we'll cover that in the next video. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and tell us about your adventures in traveling to dark sky locations. Until then, clear skies.